Hey everybody, in this video we are going to talk about what I personally consider to be the 10 best synth presets of all time. Presets,
for lack of a better word,
are good. Many synthesists pride themselves on their from-scratch programming skills, but today we will shed a light on both underrated factory content and well-known patches that had a far greater impact on music history than your $10,000 generative Eurorack abomination ever will. Solid bass, lately bass, all kinds of old Yamaha synths. Let's start this out with one of my absolute favorites. Given the unspeakable horrors of FM synthesis, it doesn't come as a surprise that instruments like the DX7 are infamous for their presets. While iconic patches like E-Piano 1 from Yamaha's Coffin of Coldness have been beaten to death in more of your grandma's favorite songs than any human could bear, the slick bass tones of vintage budget synths based on Sega Genesis-like 4-operator FM technology still sound fresh, in contrast to synths like the DX100 and FB01 known for the solid bass preset. The lately bass patch of the TX81Z makes use of a different set of basic waveforms, which results in a slightly different timbre. Moog Muse. Moog isn't exactly known for polyphonic patches. Yes, Gary Newman had a polymoog that actually worked, so the Vox Humana preset gained some popularity, but apart from this, Moogs are first and foremost about big mono sounds you don't need patch memory for. However, when their latest bug-infested nightmare, I mean flagship instrument, the Muse, hit the shelves in 2024, it wasn't the questionable take on the famous Cars sound, but a completely different 80s reimagining that convinced countless potential Muse owners to take up another mortgage. What the aka Hoover Roland Alpha Juno. Back in the 80s, when UIs were minimalist, designing digital synths was a challenge, and bodybuilders with weird European accents dominated Hollywood, Roland still hadn't found a proper answer to the aforementioned DX7. As a result, they propped up an analog Juno engine with an enhanced set of waveforms, locked it behind an unwelcoming front panel, and handed a big check to Eric Persing for the preset design. One of these presets was far too awesome for the uptight music industry of the time, so it wasn't until the early 90s that dance music artists like Second Phase, Human Resource and The Prodigy put the What the aka Dominator aka Mentasm patch to good use. I need a glass of water now. Ski Jam Korg Wave Station. Not all presets are designed to change the course of music history. Some of them serve one purpose and one purpose only: selling synths. Ski Jam, a complex wave sequencing contraption found on all Korg wave stations, is a prime example of a preset turned salesperson, and while I'm not aware of any tracks the patch was actually used in, it certainly triggers severe PTSD in everybody who worked at a music tech retailer in the 90s. Roland D50, too many great presets. In spite of being a deep and highly programmable milestone in synthesizer history, the D50 is known for its presets. Again, mostly because it is such a PITA to operate. So the question is not if this synth needs to be included in this video, but which preset is considered to be the most iconic. Chances are that Enya enjoyers are already typing a 1,000 words essay about Pizzagogo down in the comments. Fantasia is, of course, a classic, and I still haven't figured out how they were able to pull off the digital native dance patch on this arcane 80s UX nightmare. But in my humble opinion, nothing beats the pristine beauty of soundtrack. fight me. The Silent One Factory Library. Most of the sounds in this video stem from hardware instruments, but when it comes to overused presets that made dollar signs pop up in producers' eyes, nothing comes close to the factory libraries of VST antiques like Silent One. The list of Silent One presets that made it to world fame during the 2010s EDM hype is long, so this is just a little glimpse into the madness. Super Saw Waveform, Roland JP8000, JP8080. The next one isn't really a preset, but a then new raw oscillator waveform that shaped late 90s dance music as we know it. Barely filtered supersaws are without a doubt a stone cold trance classic, but they also found their way into worldwide hits in other genres. While the concept was copied by other manufacturers like Axis or Arturia, Roland included an allegedly sampled version in the controversial Gaia, and you can even find superhero versions of other waveforms in underrated instruments like System 1. Cowbell Oscillator, Roland System 1, System 8. Speaking of which, there is another raw waveform in this unbelievably ugly synth and its bigger sibling, the System 8, that I consider to be seriously underrated, Roland's Cowbell Oscillator. Quite obviously inspired by the cowbell tone of the TR-808, this basic building block of sound is ideal for genres like funk and all kinds of music technology meme videos. Alesis SR16 R&B 3 Kit. The SR16 was released in 1991 and you can still buy it new ever since. This coelacanth among drum machines comes with what is probably the best drum sound in hardware form for synthwave and all other kinds of 80s style nostalgia bait, mostly because nothing sounds more 80s than the early 90s and it wasn't as beaten to death as other sample-based drum machine classics like the Roland R8. Before we get to the ultimate preset sound, here are some honorable mentions. Do you remember when JMJ, most probably due to some contractual obligations, had to produce an album fast, arranged a few preset patterns from the Roland MC808 and called it a day?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Amateurs borrow, professionals steal. Whenever you think that your musical ideas are not original enough to make it in the business, put on Gorillaz' Clint Eastwood.
That's it, that's the preset.
And dust off some old toy instruments. Orchestra hit, found on more or less every Rompler. The Wilhelm scream of presets, both eternal in its historical relevance and ultra-dated as a gimmick in all kinds of daddy music ranging from Yes to Bruno Mars. Originally sampled by the one and only David Warhouse using a Fairlight CMI, it is based on the opening chord of the Infernal Dance section of Stravinsky's Sixth. You can even find it on humble home keyboards like Yamaha Porta sounds. It is part of the general MIDI standard. And the big YouTube channel Vox released a short documentary about it that has more views than all Dollars Jam videos on the internet combined. For demonstration purposes, I'll stick to yet another classic Roland sound taken from the JV1080. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to roast me for not including timeless preset game changers like the sync lead patch on the Mighty Prophet 5. Like, subscribe, become a patron and use one of the links down below that support the channel regardless of what your gas commands you to buy. Thanks for watching and see you next time.